Back to the war in the Middle East, and US President Donald Trump has penned a bizarre social media post over the weekend. In it, he repeats threats to destroy Iranian infrastructure if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened. Let's get more with Jared Mondschein, Director of Research at the US Studies Center. Jared, good to have you back on the program with us. Firstly, what do you read into the manner in which he put out that statement with strong, vulgar language? What does it tell us about his state of mind as Iran is keeping up, a stubborn resistance to U.S. and Israeli strikes?
I think he is getting increasingly frustrated with the Strait of Hormuz being closed and the fact that energy prices are not decreasing. They might be leveling out for the time being, but they are not decreasing, that's for sure. So I think more than anything else, that is really the result of having, in one hand, you could say, one of the most transparent presidents of all time. He's quite clear that he's frustrated. At the same time, I do just have to wonder, what are the sort of strategies behind this? Because it's not clear to me that this Islamic Republic of Iran is very keen to basically show any weakness. And so him escalating like this very well could be the sort of tit for tat that this Islamic Republic is very keen to have with him.
Yes, of course. Now, based on that, Trump now says that Tuesday will be power plant day, bridge day, all wrapped up in one. Do you expect that to happen, in the next 24 to 48 hours? And if that is the case, would Iran go ahead then and respond with what it calls devastating retaliation?
That's exactly right. I think the Iranian government, we should not forget, was founded on a few key principles, including hostility to Israel, including the covering of women, the hijab, as well as hostility to the United States. We shouldn't forget that one of the first actions that this government took was to hold Americans hostage for hundreds of days in 1979. So I think it is unlikely that somehow the Iranian Republic will back down. We should not forget that they are not necessarily a government that has the national interest in mind. They have their regime's interest in mind. And so in many ways, this regime has, as I said, defined itself on opposition to the United States. So if the national population of Iran suffers because of hostility to the United States, in many ways, you could say that plays into their hands.
Yes, so if Iranians are, I suppose, themselves suffering from the impacts as well, do you expect a deal is then closed? Because there is talk that a 45-day ceasefire plan is being presented to both sides. I'm asking because Donald Trump has said that there has been progress in talks in the past, but each time round, Tehran has denied them.
We've seen Donald Trump now, whether it be negotiating with the North Koreans, with Democrats, or with the Iranians, he likes to escalate and then land in a sort of negotiated outcome. With that said, it's not clear what that negotiated outcome could look like here. Perhaps this 45-day ceasefire could be the beginnings of that, but I can't emphasize enough that we're sort of in uncharted territory. It seems like there are rumors that Vice President Vance may be involved in these negotiations, and also that Pakistan is going to be involved in these negotiations as well. Neither of these entities are quite well known for being involved in such negotiations, let alone between the United States and Iran. So I think it really is far too early to tell what sort of ceasefire will be negotiated. But I think both sides, they might not want to admit they want a ceasefire, but they definitely do.
So whatever happens with these negotiations, Jared, do you get a sense that the Strait of Hormuz, the closure of which has impacted, the entire world, including you and me, do you believe it will reopen, but on Iran's terms rather than American terms?
It's not really clear what leverage the Trump administration has to sort of force Iran's hands. Ultimately, it appears that literal teenagers could close the Strait of Hormuz if they have the right drone technology available to them. So it would have to be an overwhelming use of force, including boots on the ground, I think, to really eliminate any threats to the Strait of Hormuz. So right now, it does appear, at least, like momentum is with the Iranians because they can have such a favorable advantage with asymmetric warfare. But again, it's too early to tell what the U.S. may respond with and how it may not or how it may or may not use allies and partners in that response.
Yes, and then of course, Donald Trump in that vein has also given this timeline last week, of 2 to 3 weeks for the war to end. Do you think the president will stick to that timeline, given the pressures that he is facing back home, and also the impact of high energy costs being felt by Americans as well?
There's no question that he's facing a lot of heat publicly on this. We shouldn't forget that this is the first war that the United States has engaged in modern history, in which a majority of Americans were not in favor of it. Whether you liked the war or not, by the end of it, all of the major wars in the last half century or more, including Vietnam, the Iraq War, Afghanistan, started with the majority of Americans in favor of it. In many instances, 75% or more. This is an exception to that. And it seems like, thanks to energy prices, that support is going down and not actually increasing. So I think there is a lot of pressure on the president to negotiate some sort of settlement or a way to make energy prices better. But it's not very clear, both from a military perspective, but also a strategic perspective, that he has a very defined off-ramp for this.
Yes, and I do wonder as well, given that there's also a fracturing in his MAGA base, what are the Republicans, of different persuasions thinking in terms of the midterms that'll be there later this year?
I think we shouldn't forget that most U.S. presidents lose control of Congress in midterms. So that includes President Biden, that includes President Trump in his first term, that included before that President Obama. But the question is the severity of that loss. So President Biden did not lose as many seats as many expected him to lose. Whereas President Trump lost a sizable amount of seats in his first midterms in 2018. Now, I think right now it looks like it's a foregone conclusion that the Democrats are going to take Congress once again, the lower house, the House of Representatives. The question is whether they take the Senate as well. And that just a month or two ago was not something many were expecting to happen. But thanks to the energy prices and the state of affairs in the United States and state of public opinion, including record lows for the president and Republicans more broadly, I think there's a greater chance than ever that the Democrats could take the Senate as well, which is quite a seismic turn in the current state of affairs.
Okay, Jared Mondschein, always great to get your analysis on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.